We're connecting. We are live, I believe, on YouTube. So there you go. Welcome everybody. We're live YouTube, live on Facebook. We're going to be doing the Monks Road Rattle and Snap and the 8-year. Plus, I've got the Monks Road Distillers series, that district 5th district series that I've had for a little bit. We're going to be tasting a little bit of that. And then we also have what I picked up today at the liquor store is the Monks Road, their small batch bourbon. Haven't had a chance to try that. Excited. I'll go into a little bit of history, but right now we're going to get the actual podcast. So everybody who's on right now, hang in there, because what happens is I start the podcast. There's a 30-second. Then we go into our... I'm going to start it right now, and then we go right into our recording. All right, here we go.
Drinking bourbon, sipping on some scotch. We get a little wild, but it's sure fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew. Man, we talk some shit, but we're telling the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon boys, raising some hell and making some noise. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon boys, we're here to have fun and we hope you enjoy.
All right, everybody, welcome to another podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Tonight, I am Tiny of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. I'm by myself tonight. What's been happening lately is we've been getting a lot more Super Nash. We've been getting Seth's friend Jacob on from time to time, but every once in a while I do one myself. We're going right now, so I'm going to pop off these headphones because that's not needed at the moment. We're recording away. I could tell by the microphone visual dynamics in front of me whether or not it's working. So one of the cool things is tonight we are doing a stream of YouTube Live. I can't see the stream. I'm not monitoring it, but I will be monitoring the Facebook Live for comments and that type of stuff. Greg Schneider's watching. Good to see you, Greg, again.
What happens is
I gotta turn down once again. It's like people who criticize us for comments and stuff like that. I deserve it. Technically, I pretty much am getting a little bit better. We're always trying to get better, but you know what? Perfection is not part of the game of this. As dinner at Amori, as always, so good. Greg commented that he misses us. He's not. I don't know if Super Nash. I did not see if Super Nash jumped in, but there's a chance that he might jump in. He might not, as far as on. But as far as this goes on YouTube and Facebook, it's me alone. I'll be monitoring the comments in the group of the Facebook group. But just remember, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. You can find us www.scotchybourbonboys.com for everything Scotchy Bourbon Boys. There's bios. There's a store. You can pick up these wonderful Crystal Glencairns that we have for the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Yeah, that was not working. And so tonight, plus, we're going to be We're on all podcast formats. Ask Alexa, or Siri to play the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, and she 100% will. And then also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. All where we're at. We're pushing that pretty good. It's been a really cool ride. One of the things, if you check out me, Jeffrey Mueller, you can or follow me on Facebook also. I've been putting out some pretty cool whiskey type reels. The reels are we go around to all the different distilleries. So we're thieving from barrels. We're opening barrels with the bung hammers. We're just doing we're having tastings with Greg Schneider, and there's just so many different things that are happening that we're really excited about it. So check me out on Jeffrey Mueller, but also remember, if you're watching tonight, okay, he's driving. Okay, that's fine, but he is here right now. Super Nash is here in the house. That covers all the promotional stuff that we go through. So tonight, one of the things that we are covering, and I'm excited to cover, is that Log Still Distillery has been a very good friend of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Wally Dant, Lynn Dant, and Charles Dant all have been supporting us, along with Tim Dant. Now, initially, that's who I met first, Tim Dant. He's kind of like the Dant Beam historian in the family. Stephen Beam is part of and Limestone branch of the Dant family. And the Dant family tree is very extensive. And just a little brief history, the Dants were distilling in Kentucky for pretty much as long as the Beams were distilling. Now, the two families, there were definitely master distillers and from different families, and it mixed over the years and that type of thing. If you go to Limestone Branch Distillery at Stephen Beam, they give you a really good history. Stephen and his brother give you a great history, and there's a video on the Dant and the Beam family mixing when they mixed. And what happened was the Beams kept going, and in the 50s, the Dants had a huge family, and they really couldn't get along. So they basically closed the distillery, sold off the brand, and then they still had the land in Gethsemane, Kentucky, in I believe it's New Haven, and they had the land, and it just they had a family trust company on the land, but the distillery gradually from just deteriorated into almost nothing. But Wally Dant, just a few years later, has made his money elsewhere, decided that he wanted to bring back the Dant family tradition and breathe new life into Gethsemane, Kentucky. And so he got together with Charlie and Lynn, and basically they have been working, I would say, day and night to bring back the Dant family back into its prominence. And I basically, right at the beginning, we had heard about what was happening, that Log Still was they were getting ready to open up, they wanted to open up a distillery. And the first thing that they had, and they started contract distilling before they even had anything. And they started restoring the property. And right before 20, I think it had to be March of 2020, right as COVID was kind of hitting, Tim Dant had contacted me probably in January and February, and he really wanted to introduce me to his family because I met him through the Scotchy Bourbon Boys online, and he was talking about the family history with the Beams and the Dance, and he was so excited that Wally and Lynn and Charlie were doing this. So he got, I was able to, secure a room in their newly opened bed and breakfast down there. And I went down to Kentucky. I was going to go down for a barrel pick for, I believe, at Jim Beam. And I wanted to also that week get a tour of where they were at and what was going on. So I went down there. And when I went down there, I was able to stay. I stayed a night at the newly remodeled bed and breakfast, which is fantastic. They also have, right with that bed and breakfast, a cabin that they built and remodeled and put up there right on the lake that they have restored. And when I went down there, the lake wasn't even filled yet. It was basically barely a pond. And they were talking, and Charlie, who I got to meet, I spent the night, and then Charlie met me in the morning. And the barrel pick did not go through. It didn't actually happen because COVID was messing with a ton of stuff. So I was able to, with Charlie, tour the whole grounds, see the lake before it was a lake. Basically, the bed and breakfast was awesome. Amy Dant made me breakfast, spectacular. The experience was great as far as the stay, but Charlie took me around and showed me. Now they had just opened the gift shop, and they were making the amphitheater. But then he showed me where the event center was going to be. Then he showed me his childhood home, which they were going to renovate, and he was so excited that was going to be renovated. And then he showed me across the street where they had their offices. And the gift shop was not open yet. And it was also a small micro distillery. And that was not open. But I got to see the inside of it almost open. And Charlie also then took me around the path, showed me the trust company, showed that they had moved it to another part of the property so they didn't have to close it. And he just showed me the whole vision of what Wally and Lynn were doing. Now, I got to see all that. I didn't get to see Wally and Lynn that day, but then we scheduled another time to go down to podcast in March. And when we went down there in March, I got to meet Wally and Lynn and see Charlie again. And we did a podcast. You can check that podcast out. It's still up. That was from March of 2020. And it was, I have to say, I basically went down there and asked Wally for a little bit of help and support for the podcast. And Wally gladly came through. So that was fantastic. So we basically they have been sponsoring the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, supporting the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, and we have been supporting them. I did go down for their opening of I was down there for a barrel pick for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival and swung over and got to see the governor, Kentucky Governor Brashear, and also Wally and Lynn and Charlie when they opened their event center. Then I was down there this past summer for the Capitol Barbecue Challenge, and it was a rib burn-off barbecue rib challenge, which was held there at the event center, and it was a fantastic experience. Once again, we also podcasted with Wally while we were down there, so check that out. You could just see. But also the following week, they opened their brand new distillery. Now, we were down there for Kentucky Bourbon Festival. I got to talk with Wally about Rattle and Snap, which this is the 8th year. And I've been waiting so long for this. And I'll give you a little story on that when we get going. And then today I purchased the Monks Road, their small batch, which I'm super excited about this small batch because I have not had it yet. So I've got the Rattle and Snap, which is Tennessee whiskey, and I'll tell you about how this is coming about. And then you also have their 5th District series, which they've been having out and keep putting out, and it's sold through their gift shop. But I also did see it on the shelf tonight or today, so I'm excited about that, the different batches. But this particular batch that I have here is barrel number 23, bottle number 5. So it was early on in the actual process. So very excited to get going and giving a little bit of tasting. This is exciting because they're distilling their distillate. They're going to be putting up their own rick houses. They're still doing what, we'll talk about the Rattle and Snap brand in a couple seconds, but let's just start off with what their signature. Well, let's start off with the small batch. I mean, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 94 proof. Let's see. I wonder if I should have those. Yep, I'm lucky. Here it is. I got my readers on, but I'll give you the side of the bit. It's the journey home never seems quite as long. It's been said that the greatest moment of any journey is the turn you make that points you towards home. For us, the horizon holds Gethsemane and southern Nelson County, Kentucky, the place we were raised, and the people we call neighbors. New in structure and substance, yet built on the time-honored foundations of faith, family, and community. And then it's signed by J.W. Wally Dant III. Now, we got over here. This is wheated and aged 4 years. So this is basically their small batch is a wheated bourbon. So I'm excited about that. That's pretty cool. It was contracted, distilled, and bottled by Log Still Distillery, Gethsemane, Kentucky. So there you go, folks. That's what we're looking at for that. Let's see. Do we got anything else going? I didn't hit the Powerball today, so I've set up a GoFundMe account to replenish and support my sorry ass. This is from Greg Schneider, letting me know that he didn't hit the Powerball expenditures, trying to become a billionaire and further support all of my Scotchy Bourbon Boy members. Didn't happen the way as I planned. That's cheers, Greg. I didn't hit the Powerball either, and I've never hit the Powerball. Wally Dan team are truly amazing, awesome people who truly fit in our wonderful industry, looking out for other distillery brethren and promotes the industry as well as their own brands. Yeah, Wally is a quality individual. There's no doubt about that, Greg. So I'm excited to try this small batch because, once again, I have not tried it. I'll do my classic, what I usually do when I open it. Let her open. Give it a whiff. Put it there. Let's shake it up a little bit. Get that out. Get it all mixed up. Nothing on the top. Nothing to go. Once again, this is a small batch. I've not tasted it. It's a wheated bourbon. So I'm hoping at 94 proof, I believe is what I said. Yes. 94 proof. So here, I'll hold that baby up again for everybody. Gives you a nice... There we go. We'll set that down. All right. Let's give you tasting notes on this baby.